A really interesting update from Germany's new defence minister. He's only been officially in the job for one day, and today he was defending his country. I'll just go through some of the points that he made. He has literally just finished speaking in the last minute or so. So he said it was wrong to give the impression that Germany was standing in the way, but as you said, he said that they were basically weighing up the pros and cons of sending those tanks, and that they needed to look at things like the number of stocks and how those tanks would be sent and time and logistics, and that while they were doing that, he said they had no problem that partners did that as well. He said that they also discussed about partners exporting their own stocks. No decision on that yet, but he's very keen to make this point that they aren't standing in the way. I think the other thing that was really important was that he started his whole conference to the press by listing some of the things that Germany has done. So he underlined the fact that they're going to send these Marder fighting vehicles, 40 of those due to be delivered by March, also underlining that they're sending other support, really trying to make the point clear that Germany is by no means letting the side down when it comes to supporting Ukraine, but also underlining that point that many analysts have said to me over the last few days, that feeling that they really need to be cautious when they take this next step of sending in these battle tanks. And he said that when they're looking at the pros and cons, they have to balance the pros and cons in the interest of Europe and the German population. And I think that's a really interesting point, because as we've been talking today, there has been this idea that the Chancellor, for example, is very concerned about making wrong decisions and making decisions very carefully to ensure that if they send these tanks, for example, that it doesn't lead to an escalation in the war. And that is a point that seems to be supported by a majority of the German public, who in recent polls by public TV, the majority of them didn't support sending the Leopard tanks, Leopard 2 tanks. They said that they did support Ukraine, but this seems to be, for many people, a step too far. So caution again on the part of Germany here. People who were hoping for a big announcement today were sending the tanks. That clearly doesn't sound like it's going to happen. What will be interesting now is to see whether what's been discussed behind closed doors is enough to appease partners like Poland, who are really getting frustrated and have already threatened to send their stocks of these Leopard 2 tanks without permission.